This is a production of Cable One of Northern Kentucky. Brought to you as a community service by the Kentucky Post. The Kentucky Post putting Northern Kentucky first, where Monday you can read Sports Extra. People do read the classifieds in the Kentucky Post. Phone 421-6300 today. Richard Skinner and Doug Martin back from Super Bowl in Erlanger, Kentucky. We've crowned our women's champion, Sue Rowland, now going after a men's champion here in the Miller Lite Stars of TV Bowling. And in our first match, it's Mike Johnson taking on Mike Cefaratti. And we're ready now for our first men's match right now. And there you see our two combatants here in this men's match. And we've got a great championship prize we're shooting at today, Doug. Our best prize to date and the best prize I can recollect ever having on the show, $250 the men's shooting at.
Yeah, that'd kind of make a nice morning for these guys.
And third prize isn't cheap by any stretch of the imagination either. $100 for third, and the runner-up here in the championship will pick up $175.
We see Mike Johnson with a 198 average, just getting 9 pins handicap. Oh, Mike got off to a bad start here. We see the ball cut sharply through the head pin and didn't get a break at all. Leaves a 3, 4, 6, 7.
And Johnson, who Doug had said carries a 198 average, will pick up just 9 pins in handicap here in this match. And he qualified with scores of 218, 269, and 216 for a 703 scratch series.
Mike was on the show a few years back, and he's quite a competitor, and he talks to the ball and the pins.
And he gave that split a nice run.
Sure did.
So now Mike Cefaratti, who has a 181 average, he carries into this match and will pick up 23 pins in handicap. So a 14-pin handicap differential between Cefaratti and Johnson here in this match. And looks for a little action off the sidewall and leaves a 7-pin standing.
Mike was a little light in the pocket that time, and got some pin action there, as we see. Took the 5 out, but left the 7 remaining.
Cefaratti, as you see, he qualified with scores of 255, 194, and 211 for a 660 scratch, and runs it right on by the 7-pin. And Doug, one thing I commented on a lot of times when we see bowlers have some trouble with that 7-pin is I think it's a tougher shot than shooting at the 10-pin for a lot of right-handed bowlers with a hook. I don't know why that is. It's just one of those pins I guess you take for granted a lot of times.
Well, it is. It should normally be an easy pin for right-handers, but yeah, you can miss it real easily. If you throw a hook ball and you get it in the track, it may hook early, it may go to the gutter, and then a lot of times if that happens, they'll overcompensate and they'll throw it wide, and then it won't get back, and they'll miss it to the right, as Mike did that time. So yeah, it's not an easy pin to pick up. And he leaves 3 standing on this ball.
And not an easy one to bring back at all, Doug.
No, he's going to have to hit this flush on the 2-pin to carry out the 4 and the 8. And he gets a break.
A non-conventional way of picking up the spare for Cefaratti, but when they go down, that's all that matters.
Well, that was a crowd pleaser. Hit the 2-pin light and drove it into the sideboard, and it came back and got the 4 and the 8 out. He got a nice break on that.
Let one of the pins just do all the action for him that time.
Here we see Mike Johnson, and as I was alluding to before, he likes to talk to the ball that's going down the lane and try to help guide it to the pocket.
See if we can pick up a little Mike Johnson this time. And again, he said look out, and sure enough, another split for Johnson, so a tough start for him with back-to-back splits.
Yeah, it sure is. I expected Mike to come out of the gate firing. He bowls here at Super Bowl in the 3-man classic. In fact, we bowl in the same league together, and he's always a good, tough competitor. And these are some of the lanes that we bowl on every Thursday night, and so I felt like that might give him a little bit of an advantage. But his ball is really breaking sharp at the back end here.
So back-to-back opens for Johnson, just picking off the 6 that time, and as you said, it looks like that ball really is finishing fast for him, and it looks like he's either going to have to get a little bit more loft on the ball, Doug, or pick up a little bit more speed, because it really snaps right at the tail end.
Well, as you notice, he twirls it up, as we say, quite a bit. He really turns it when it is released at the foul line, and he throws the ball fairly soft. So that ball's going to hook hard on the back end. And as you can see, he's expecting it to hit the pocket, and he's kind of bewildered that it's hooking that hard on the back end. So he's going to have to move in a little deeper. And
well, that time he gave it some room to run, and
well,
that time he gets a big-time washout.
Well, that's what I was saying, that he was going to move in deeper, and he's overcompensated. He moved in too deep. The ball never got into a roll, slid all the way down the lane, and didn't even get back to the head pin. So he's struggling. But now I think he knows the parameters he can shoot in. He knows where he was outside too far before. Now he's in too deep. So if he can split the difference, maybe he can start hitting the pocket.
Well, staring at 3 straight opens unless he can somehow bring this tough one back. Gonna give it a roll. So 3 straight opens for Mike Johnson. And Mike Cefaratti has got himself a chance to build a big-time lead here early in this match.
Yeah, this is not typical of the Mike Johnson I know and bowl with, but I'm sure he'll find the range here in a minute. He's got a whole rooting section here in the back. He works out at Lytton and Hebron, and he's got all his buddies and cohorts here cheering for him. So I'm sure he'd like to get his stroke down and do well for his crowd. Here we see the replay on Mike's shot. You can see the 6-pin laying in the gutter there alongside the 10 as it just went around the 10 and unfortunately leaves it standing. So see Mike go cross lane for the spare conversion.
And gives it a nice little kiss on the side there and converts that one. So after the open in the first frame for Cefaratti, back-to-back spares for him.
We saw on the opening shot there, we saw the Miller light ball sitting in front of us. I don't want anybody to think we're starting to drink this early.
No, we taped the show at 9:30 in the morning. I'm going to have to say that's even a little bit too early for myself. There's a little mixing action, and he got the knock off the wall that time. That's the same kind of shot he had on the first ball and couldn't trip out the 7-pin. And that time it goes for Cefaratti.
Got a break on that one.
You saw our scoreboard right there in the 40-pin lead for Cefaratti, and didn't get a chance to thank our scorekeeper in our women's match, which was Deborah Case, and this time around Jim Shanks keeping score on our men's matches. So we thank both our scorekeepers today.
Let's see if Mike can. There we go. Well, it was just a matter of, like I said before, splitting the difference there between he was too far out and then he was too far in, and he hit a happy medium there. I think you'll see him start reeling off some strikes now and get back in this match.
And Doug, I think right there's the difference you see between maybe a 175 average bowler and a 198 bowler. He didn't get rattled with the 3 open frames, and he made the proper adjustment.
Yeah, that's the key to being to getting up over that 170 average. 170 is kind of a stumbling block for a lot of bowlers. They get that point, and that's where they stop. But if you continue to work on your game and get some good advice from some good bowlers.
And a solid 10-pin. He couldn't have buried one better than that.
Now he's found the range now. Here we see on replay. The 6 just went straight back to the left of the 10, and it was a good ball, but unfortunately didn't get the carry on the 10. But
I know you see him bowl a lot, Doug, and I see as much hook as he puts on the ball. Does he have a problem with this 10-pin?
He's fairly accurate on his spares. He normally would get this. But not this time, unfortunately. So Mike's really struggling here.
The winner of this match between Mike Johnson and Mike Cefaratti will move on to meet last week's champion, Rick Carroll. And right now, the man you see, Mike Cefaratti, has got himself a commanding lead and a chance with a double here to open up even a little bit more ground. And pitch that one way wide.
He really let that one go. He knew it. He knew it at the foul line. He knew it was gone and it wasn't coming back. As we see it leave the fence post there, the 1, 2, 4, 7. And he's going to have to hit this right in the 1-2 area.
The basic Brooklyn pocket side.
It's real easy to pick this too, to chop off the 7-pin, or let's see what he does here.
Well, he sawed it off that time, Doug.
Yeah, I
thought for sure he chopped that one when he threw it.
That's not the recommended way of getting it, but it still looks good on paper. As I was saying before, get out to your local Northern Kentucky BPA lanes. They have lanes open usually during the week and weekends to practice your game. And if you are in that 150, 160, 170 range for men and 120, 130, 140 area for women, and you feel like you're as good as you can get, that's not true. You can always improve your game with practice and the proper ball and the proper fitting ball. Go to a good pro shop, get a proper fitting ball with the right weight, and if you know somebody that can help you with your game, work on your game, or there's a lot of good videotapes out now available that you can watch that'll point out a lot of things you don't consciously know you're doing wrong, and it will improve your game. You can get up there 180, 190 averages as some of these bowlers we've seen on TV.
And one of the bowlers you're going to see who is one of those improving types is going to be the man in the championship match, Rick Carroll, who has only been bowling for a year and a half, carries just a 160 average, but that average is going to be quickly on the upswing because he's wanting to work in his game. And here comes Johnson back at it.
Now we see Mike kind of coaxing the ball on there as he says, come on.
Well, there you see it, a big lead really for Cefaratti in the match, but if Johnson can string one right here in the 7th frame, he'll cut what was a 50-pin deficit very quickly down to just 29 pins.
Yeah, Mike's not out of it yet, and him being a 198 bowler and knowing how to make the adjustments and keep his cool, and he's been on TV before, so you can't count him out yet. He's still got some paper to make this deficit up.
In fact, in 1986, Mike Johnson was on twice here at Super Bowl in the 6th week and at Glenn Schmidt's in the 9th week, and he came away with 2 championships. Well, one of the true taps you're going to get in bowling the 9-pin for him, and he comes back talking to himself.
Yeah, he got a real tough break on that one. That ball was turning so hard, it just went right past the 9. Normally the ball, when it hits the pocket, it'll drive into the 5 and deflect off of there and go into the 9. That ball did not deflect at all. That ball drove right on through past the 9-pin, which is unusual. He almost threw too strong of a ball that time.
But brings the spare back, so Johnson keeps a little bit heat on Cefaratti and still forcing him to mark here in the match. Moving on to frame 7 of our first men's match. We're on lanes 7 and 8 here from Super Bowl and Erlanger.
And
whoa, had the scout out there.
Almost got a break. Put it in the pocket, just a hair light, as we can see here on replay. And the 6, as we see it going around the 10, so it left it. The head pin over on your extreme left side there by the 7-pin bounced off the sideboard and came rolling across back to the lane, and had a good shot at getting it, but didn't quite do it.
So another 10-pin spare for Cefaratti, and he maintains his 39-pin lead here in this first men's match. This is the second time, or rather the first time Cefaratti's been on the program. And of course looking for his first championship.
And a $250 prize. That'd buy a lot of Miller Lite, wouldn't it?
I'll tell you what, it sure would. Our best prize to date. Well,
Mike's
he's flirting with some pin action there. 2 straight strikes he flirted with and couldn't get either one.
Yeah, he was in the pocket again, just a little bit light again. Had through the 5 and several other pins over to the 7. Looked like it was going to get it out. We see it still wiggling there, but it just wouldn't go for him. As he makes the 7-pin conversion. Mike's had a problem. He hasn't bowled the last several weeks in our league. He's had a problem with his wrist. He's pulled some tendons, I believe, and he's going to have an operation, he said, in the next few weeks. But so that might be one of his problems. He's bowling with some pain there, I believe.
Well, there it was for him, and it looks like right now Mike Johnson's found the range, but it might be a little too late. Yeah, nice shot there.
There we see on the replay all 10 pins doing their job as they're heading for the pits.
Right now Johnson going at a 189 clip if he can string them out as he moves here into the 9th frame.
Yeah, he could put some pressure on Mike Cefaratti here.
But desperately in need of a strike on this shot. Frame number 9, the building frame for Mike Johnson. And a little light again and leaves the double wood.
Well, ninth frame, foundation frame, very important to get the strike in that building frame going in the 10th. Mike knew he needed it to have any shot at all in this match, and he came up light. Unfortunately, he's a 2-8, so he's in big trouble now.
And that big hook ball makes it really tough to bring that one back, and you can see right there, just ran right on by after he tapped that front pin.
Yeah, that's one disadvantage to the big hook is on your spares. It's good for the strikes because it will make a bigger pocket because of the angle it's coming in at, and it drives through the pins, and it does get you more pin action. But on spares, when you need accuracy, it's a disadvantage. As Mike comes up high on the head pin, leaves a 6-10.
And that pin count right there all but locks out Mike Johnson here in this first match.
You'll notice a lot of times, Richard, on the PBA Tour on Saturdays that a lot of the pros will switch to a harder surface ball when they're going for pins to cut down on that hook. And there's a difference between a 198 bowler and a 215 bowler who you'll see on the Pro Tour.
This is brought to you as a community times.
A lot of times, and you know, you have to know what your equipment's going to do and know when to adjust, and you have to do it quickly, and that's what makes the pros.
Well, if Cefaratti can bring this spare back and come up with a strike, he'll finish at a 194. Not a great game by any stretch of the imagination, but in match play, all you have to do is beat that man bowling opposite you, and that's what Cefaratti has done to move into our championship.
Yeah, for his first time on TV, he's bowled a good game.
So our championship match will be coming up after you see this final frame by Cefaratti and Johnson. And again, the men today shooting at a $250 first prize, and we had 174 entrants come out this week, and I'm sure that that's the best we've done to date. And we cashed for every 6 spots on this show, and we went down to the 29th person to cash this week, and that's not bad at all.
No, that's real good. We were real pleased with the turnout last weekend of the bowlers, and we'd encourage everyone to participate in this tournament. Get out to your BPA house the week of qualifying. Give it a shot. We may see you on TV.
And this week's qualifying is at Cherokee and Independence, and the program this coming Sunday will be at Bowl Lounge in Latonia. We hope we can see you out for both the qualifying and our program next Sunday.
There we see Mike. He's still struggling. Came up light. Leaves the 210.
Well, let's see if he can leave on a good note here, Doug, and bring back this split.
Well, this would be a crowd pleaser, and he's got a lot of his friends and cohorts here, and I'm sure he would like to at least pick this up and go out in style. But this is very atypical of Mike Johnson. Last time he was on the show, he almost bowled a 300 game. And he picks up the 2, and
well, to say the least, Mike Johnson struggled in our first men's match. But in this match, it's Mike Cefaratti defeating Mike Johnson, as you see it, 192 to 136. We'll be back with our men's championship right after this.